starring Richard Widmark as Skip, the pickpocket who got his fingers into everything. Jean Peters as Candy, the bee-girl, who could be so sweet for the right information. Thelma Ritter as Mo, the stoolie. Even in her business, she drew the line somewhere.
Hello, everyone. This is the Film Fetishists' second official, well, with this name, official podcast. Wait, no, it's the third, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not gonna even mention it. All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Justin. These are my friends Bryan and Dahlia. We
Hello.
are from the Film Fetishists podcast, and this week we have the pleasure to talk about Pickup on South Street, which is a 1953 noir spy movie, which is unique because generally noir does not follow spies. And this movie involves a pickpocket who unknowingly steals a piece of information that a communist spy ring holds very dear to their heart. It's unclear what exactly it is. I believe it's some sort of patent. But yeah, he steals that, and the movie is all about them trying to get it back, and the U.S. government also trying to get it. And it's just this whole like race to the finish, and everyone is trying to fight each other for the piece of information. Now, the director of this movie, Sam Fuller, claims, and this is a quote from him, I had no intention of making a political statement in Pickup, none whatsoever. My Urine is a noir thriller about marginal people, nothing more, nothing less. Now, I have to say I disagree with this statement. Well, it's not that I disagree with it. I just think that he's not telling the truth. I think it is very political. I believe you two also may agree with me there, but where I think we differ is that I think this movie takes more of an anti-communist standpoint, which is more fitting with the times. Whereas, you may disagree with me, which that's why we're having this discussion. All right, so actually, before I bring up my examples, I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say and like what you think about this movie. So if you want, bring up some specific details for Hugh, we could do that. That would be lovely.
Okay, well, I definitely think that this film is like very anti-capitalist, and like
100%.
One scene in particular that said that to me was when Mo was talking to Cindy about the tie that she was selling to her for $50. Like that felt very like capitalist to me, like in so many ways. It's like everyone can be a capitalist, and this film is kind of taking on the form of like, okay, if anyone can be a capitalist, then why do we have capitalism?
Yeah, I agree 100% on that scene. I mean, it's just like you say, like she's selling, like that Mo is selling the tie, but in reality, she's selling the information that this person is coming to her looking for because, an item was stolen from her. And so,
Yeah.
But even with the film forming this scene, like the shot framed from the perspective of Candy, actually. All right. So Candy, the shot over the shoulder from Candy's perspective, and then this zoom in right on Mo's face as like she says $50, and then it just fades to black. It just feels like this
$50.
This kind of like strike against this kind of like this pursuit of money. Like it's kind of, I don't know. It just feels like an indictment of this whole pursuit.
All right, Bryan, I'm so glad you brought that up. And although I am inclined to agree with you because I think that that's like I'd say a proper interpretation of what we're seeing. I don't know if it's necessarily criticizing capitalism and more of like just kind of the writers gloating at the fact that they're asked Joey. He has kind of tasked Candy with getting this back by any means necessary, and like gives her it's kind of ambiguous, but like he gives her resources to get this back. Like, doesn't he give her like $400 towards the end?
Yeah, like I know in like later scenes, like when she goes
Yeah.
to
And I'm kind of like assuming that like he's reimbursing her for this, and I think that that's a
if he's
fair
not directly
assumption to make.
giving her the money, she probably is. He probably
Yeah.
is either giving her money or reimbursing her, at least in the scene. We know
And
he does
although
give her
that's not
money.
seen, I do think that that's a fair assumption to make. And I think that like the zoom in and like the $50, that kind of is it's like accepting in a sense, like from the communist perspective, this like blood money, because it's like has their own blood on it, because money is like it's like the symbol of is like the symbol of capitalism, essentially. It kind of like makes the capitalistic world go round. And when you ask a communist to pay for something that benefits them, it's like totally bonkers, because it's asking them, it's asking a Christian to worship the devil. It's asking, it's because if you're actually helping them with the money, it's like, why? And I actually should clarify, like, I'm not saying this is what communism is, but the thing is, capitalists have, and like the mainstream public have this perception of communism as this like wealth hating equality, like extreme equality organization that is kind of horrific to them, and in a way like kind of would be horrific to a lot of people, like based on how it's described, and kind of how it's like misrepresented. So and that's what's coming to fruition on the screen. And the zoom in, like, it's like, it's like a big butt, in a sense. It's like a big, like, you will get what you want, but you're gonna have to give me this like symbolic thing in return. It's not even
So you're
about
saying like the
$50.
film, and like you're just saying the film, at least in this point, is like kind of showing the hypocrisy of like the communist regime.
Mhm. It's
Sense?
doing
Do you
that,
have any other
even
examples
though
of that?
she's not a communist.
Yeah, through her, because it's still the communist money. But do you have like another
Mhm.
example of that?
Yes, actually. Okay, so yeah, actually, Bryan, I do have something that kind of further evidence of this trip. So
What you got?
basically in the scene where McCoy and Candy are like talking, they're trying to find like kind of their final like deal as to how they're gonna get the film, as how he's gonna give the film back to the communists. He goes and says, like, tell that commie I'm gonna want a big score, and then basically it is another zoom, but like it kind of the camera like slowly like zooms in on her while she says, "What are you talking about?"
In cash tonight.
What are you talking about?
You tell me. You people are supposed to have all the answers.
Tell you what.
And she thought that this moment shows the point where she realizes that actually she's not the one who's doing the manipulating, and he's the one who's kind of in control of the situation. And it like furthers the point that I think this film is more towards the anti communist side of things, because it's like the world is being broken. This kind of fantasy world that these capitalist characters believe in and subscribe to is being torn down. And like it's this perspective that, like, you ever heard that saying that in a perfect world, in theory, communism and Marxism works very well, but in practice it always is corrupt and broken.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this is kind of an example of that, because I think it's like they always think they have it figured out, and it's always like, oh, if we could only make this one improvement to our nation, to our government, then yes, we would have
Mhm.
a perfect government. Everyone would be happy. Everyone would be
Yeah,
equal.
yeah.
But we're
I see
not
what you're
there
saying.
yet. And it's like it's and this zoom like shows her kind because a zoom in like like that's kind of like induces realization and like sudden fear. It's like a pit drop, like your stomach dropping because you
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
something that's like so kind of profound because it can't be fixed. And I think that
I see what you're
that's the
saying, but I think
perspective
that
trying to
Zoom
be shown.
almost. I don't think the film is like endorsing like the communist ideology at all. I don't think, but I think the main point it's saying is this indictment of communism. I'm not communism of capitalism. Like even in that moment, you have this zoom in on Candy, this shot of her horrified as I always forget.
McCoy, McGraw,
As Skip McCoy.
Yeah.
Skip McCoy, what is as Skip McCoy is like horrifying. Like even the act, even the performance here of like Richard Widmark, it's kind of scary. Like it's a kind of a scary performance, honestly. Like it's this kind of evil, like this angry, evil, dangerous performance out of him. But I think that scene's emphasized it. Like she's afraid of him in this scene because he's being this good. In a sense, he's being a good capitalist. He is out for himself, endeavoring to get money for himself. That's what she's afraid of in this scene. That's kind of think the big point of it. Like he's valuing that pursuit of money, everything else.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like this film in particular is really anti-capitalist as opposed to anti-communist. Because I feel like there would be more scenes of this like scared feeling that people have towards communists as opposed to the scenes that we're seeing, like the one that we're discussing right now, where people are literally scared of a capitalist. Like this person is out for their own money, for their own gain, for everything about themselves. Whereas something about like a red scare would be like, this is an organization that's like a cult, but this is more about individualists like being out for themselves.
Yeah, but what I would say to that is like you go to 106. I'm saying timestamps. That's not allowed. Then there's this scene with Mo. Yeah, Mo. I should remember that. Like Mo is literally killed by the communists, and the moment before she's killed, we see this close up of Mo's face. It go like we can only see like the top of his brim hat and his like to his bottom chin, so it's like his bottom lip, so it's like that, and he's like,
You just talked yourself into an early grave.
"Oh, you just earned yourself an early grave."
What else do you know?
And
What do I know about comedy?
you don't see the
Nothing.
capitalist characters painted in that
I know
light
one
ever.
thing.
And I think that then like on top of that, to Brian's point of like, oh, he's like all out to get it, all out for himself. I would say that like the money doesn't matter to him. Like he clearly is this meager living man who lives on this like weird boat thing with no power and a fridge that's actually just the Hudson River, which is disgusting. I mean, is it the Hudson River? I mean,
wait, so you're talking about Skip Marlowe not being like out for money?
Yeah. No, I was so. I mean, yeah, I kind of have like two arguments for both of you here. So sorry for being.
Let's talk about the Mo scene. Let's talk about the Mo scene first.
Okay, Mo scene first. But yeah, for the Mo scene, I think it's like so we have it's a long take. It starts off with Mo. Mo is sitting there, and you just see his legs kind of appear into the camera. And then the camera like the camera like steps back, and then he steps into frame, but like he's still shrouded in darkness in this noir like villain type of light. And I do believe he's being painted as a villain here because he's being hidden. And then like on top of that, it's like it relates back to how we have this underground ring of communists that don't kind of follow any rules. They don't even answer to like the Kremlin or anything, like, which that's arguably like a way to make it more like anti-capitalist, because we hate the Russians. Everyone hates the Russians, but like especially at this time. But what I would say is like it makes it more criminal. I think that these people are supposed to be criminals. They're not supposed to be like redeeming, and they kill for just information. You know, they then will, they're hypocrites. They will buy the information back. Like they will buy things back, which even though this doesn't, you know, even though this isn't like a realistic, you know, I keep saying this isn't like really real. Like this isn't like a real way that communists actually work, but like there's like the hypocrisy in them buying things with exorbitant amounts of money. And then we have kind of these capitalist characters that are like the classic American just trying to get by, gloating in their face by offering them money. And then they're killed for it, or by asking for money.
Yeah, I get that, but I think so. If we look at the Mo scene, like, yeah, I'm not denying that. Like, Joey in this scene is portrayed as like this. Like, he's obviously portrayed as this evil kind of darkly lit
villain.
Kind of villain. Like, I'm not denying that, but like, if you really analyze the scene, when she gives her whole speech before, like, she says, "I don't like communists" or "I don't like commies," she kind of gives another indictment of just the whole capitalist U.S. system as a whole. Because she's telling him, like, hey,
with me, it's a little bit of everything. Backaches and headaches. I can't sleep nights. It's so hard to get up in the morning and get dressed and walk the streets, climb the stairs. I go right on doing it.
you can kill me. Like, I've lived this whole life here. It's been pretty crappy. I'm alone. I've lived here. Like, I've tried to work. I've tried to do all this, and what am I left with? Like, nothing. And so she's okay dying because she has nothing left at this point, and she is criticizing the system around her. So yeah, he's kind of portrayed as like Joey's portrayed as this like simplistic kind of villain, but when you actually analyze the scene, there's kind of like an undertone of like this criticism towards capitalism, just kind of exemplified in Mo herself.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because it, like, I feel like her character as a whole was very much like a character that makes commentary on like the system that we have in America, and like like as in the country in general. So I feel like she, like, while she has like capitalist tendencies, like someone who did grow up in a capitalist society, I feel like her character in general is someone who like tries to exemplify like anti-capitalism, because it's like you said, like she worked really hard her whole life, but she ends up with nothing. And that's
like, even like
yeah,
like early on in the movie, like when the two police officers are trying to figure out who the pickpocket was, who stole the information, they bring Mo in, and like, what's the first thing she starts talking about? She's talking about the cost of living,
like happy money,
like,
happy cash.
Such a point, yeah.
No,
she's like, and again, even when she works, even when she's directly working with like an institution of the U.S. government, she's still desperately trying to get money because because of the structures of the society she's in. She's struggling. Like, she's called the cost of living. It just feels like it makes so much sense that this film's against Mo kind of every scene she's in.
The people in this film struggle and continue to struggle like their whole lives, pretty much, and then they gain nothing. So I'm not seeing how this film is not an anti-capitalist like representation.
Again, I don't think it's so
like
here's the thing though. Here's the thing though that I think that the scene with Mo is the scene where Mo dies is really both confusing and strange, because although she is talking about these very real struggles that are like lifelong systemic struggles that are a result of the capitalist world that she exists in, she is showing like this real, like, true emotion, whereas fuck me, I'm bad with names. What's his name?
Joey.
whereas Joey is just stoically there and then kills her. And so I think that's kind of putting against each other. I'm never ever gonna say juxtaposes. Like capitalist people's like kind of, you know, flaws that make them human compared to like these communist Soviet monsters that are like robotically creating their own society and will do nothing, will stop at nothing to get it because they think it's for the greater good. So I think that, yes, it's true. Like what you're saying is true. She's been beat down by the society. She's struggling. She's sad. She's depressed. She like is, in chronic pain, and she has to do this like hustle, this like painful hustle every day in order to live. But she's still human, and she's still like this very endearing, cheerful, delightful character.
So you
Whereas
think in that scene there's like a direct contrast in how Mo
I do,
is
and
a human,
I think it's
alive person, where Joey is kind of this robotic,
I
evil
think it's saying that, yeah, I think
entity.
it's saying that capitalism fosters this humanity that like allows for entertainment and fun, and communism is like, how can we live on rations? Like I think that's the message from this. And then I think it's like, how can not only how can we live on rations, but like those who aren't with us are against us and should die. Whereas capitalism is like, we live in a diverse society, which no, I'm not siding with this, but like I do think this is what is being said. Like we live in a diverse society with a whole bunch of different types of people, including communists. And although everyone in a way must kind of conform to our beliefs, like we people do their own thing and do what they want to do, and you work harder, you make more, and you live better, and you like, you're like more pushy and like, hold back your information, ask for more money, you get more money, and you have more things. And it's kind of compared to communism, where you get your loaf of bread every day from the ration station, and you eat that with your family, and that's all you get. Like this is the message that I think is being conveyed. And I think that goes back to the, if we think back to the quote, he says it's not, the director, yeah, Samuel Fuller said that it is not political at all. I think that's actually a very capitalistic perspective to take, because capitalism kind of sees politics as, we have like parties within this one system, and communism is not one of those parties. So it's like you're, conservative or you're liberal, you're Democrat, you're Republican, there's a couple variations like independent or whatever, but we won't get into that. But like, I think that he's promoting the idea that you can actually have like an objective, factual based assessment of society, and like it not be political, even though it's unconsciously political. It's anti-Soviet, which is supposed to not be political, because in his mind, the Soviets being the enemy, the communists in that, Soviets, communists are kind of the same thing in this example. Like being the enemy means that they are like it's like anti-American, because America is the standard in his mind, and like therefore capitalism is a standard, and then you have politics above that. So if he makes a stance about women, then it becomes political. If he makes a stance about like women in the workplace, because this is the 50s, that becomes political. If he makes a stance about, same-sex marriage, that's political in his mind. But when he makes a stance about like, you have to work for what you earn, it's not political to him, because that is the society that he believes is like the standard, not the
Yeah,
gold
because I feel
standard.
like
It's
you're,
the standard
but I
to him.
feel like I mean, this is why I see it. The film like includes communists in sort of this kind of generic villain role, when like the center and critique he has isn't on them. It's again, it's not just, it's on how the capitalist society functions like in practice. Like at every point, it kind of fails these characters in the film. That's why I think
But it
like if you
keeps
look at the
them
atmosphere,
human, whereas the communists are driven into this routine that makes them these kind of like soldiers. It literally like puts everyone in the army in a sense, you see,
I
like
see what
it
you're
gives
saying, but
everyone
like
equal, like when you even now, like you join the army, everyone is put into the same barracks, fed the same food, given the same training, shoots the same people.
yeah, I
And
get what you're saying, but I feel like if we look at the movie, I feel like focusing on these characters that are in a capitalist society and making them human is just another way in which he's able to express the failures they have. We see how it failed Mo, and we see how it kind of fails.
but then
How
what do you
like
say about the hypocrisy though?
I'm not denying that. I just don't think it's the main point of the film. I
Okay.
think it's
Or Dahlia, you look like you were trying to say something a second ago. Sorry, when we were, we got all
fine.
excited.
I was kind of listening to like, your side of things as someone who really thinks that this film is like anti-capitalist. And I think that now, like listening to what you were saying, that this film has both anti-capitalist and anti-communist perspectives in it, which is like an interesting place to take because actually it's not a very interesting. Yes, it is a very interesting place to take because
whoa! I don't know if we could use the word. We can't use the word interesting.
What's a paradox?
Oh, excuse me.
Oh yeah,
it's a compelling.
It's compelling. Thank you. Put a little ding there for Hugh for me.
Yeah.
It's a very compelling point because being anti-communist doesn't necessarily mean you're anti-capital. You're a capitalist. So it could be that he's anti-communist, but also anti-capitalist.
So then he is truly unpolitical because he's taking both sides of it, and it is truly not political. Okay, that is really
still
okay.
Very much disagree.
That's wait. All right, Bryan. I'm gonna just say the thing that just came to me because this kind of is blowing my mind, and then I want you to tell me why you disagree, because so considering Dahlia, what you said, because like I do agree. I think that there are critiques of capitalist society in here. Absolutely no way I can just sit here and deny that. And then at the same time, like I still really believe my reading of it. I don't think that I'm wrong, I think that means that like where I was wrong is his assessment of society today as being like capitalism is the standard. I think that he kind of is taking the cynical look of everything, of like both, capitalism and the opposite of capitalism, and like both, the things that I brought up about routine, about hypocrisy, about dehumanization, in return for equality and like standard good living, that is the opposite of people struggling their whole life and still not getting what they want. And so then he is showing diversity. He's showing every type of life in this world and how all of them are bad, but you just have to make the most of them in a way. And in a way, the only person who's winning here is McCoy. Even though he's like getting beat up, he's like, getting arrested and whatever, he's in all this trouble. He's winning. He's living on a boat. He's drinking beer. He's winning. And he's
winning.
He's kissing beautiful women. He's the only one that's doing well. And in a way, he is both anti-communist and he's anti-capitalist. Because he's stealing. He's anti-capitalist. He's stealing. He's fighting the government. Anti-capitalist, but he's extorting the communists. He's buying things. He's kind of participating in society. He's patriotic. So that's where the
very much disagree with a lot of what you said about Stephen Coy.
So tell me.
The character based on like the film. One, we already established in earlier scenes. He has a capitalistic philosophy of pursuing money for himself. He does that. And then you say like he's stealing, so he's like anti-capitalist.
But he doesn't spend his money.
We didn't have that much. But he's like stealing because this structure of society has failed him. That he can't find a place to survive and thrive. And so he has to steal in order to survive.
So what is he, capitalist or communist?
I mean, that's what I'm getting to. I think he's a good capitalist. Look at the end. In the end of the film, he's happy when he circumvents the police, when he circumvents the institution of the U.S. government, and when he doesn't pursue money, when he pursues love, actually.
Wait, but the thing is, he's actually this legendary pickpocket that can steal whatever he wants. Like, he can steal anything he wants. He can steal a gun from a secret agent. Like, he can get whatever he wants. And so he actually is kind of like, he doesn't care that much. He doesn't live this like lavish lifestyle that he could. Like, I'm not saying he could have a mansion. I'm saying he could have like no, but I'm saying he could have like jewelry and like fancy clothes and like expensive things that you can buy with cash.
But then that would
That's what
go
I'm
away
saying.
when if he goes to jail, which he just got out of jail.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
but
would
the
you
thing
want to
is,
go back to jail for doing the exact
but
same
he's
thing you just
still
went
And
in
then
stealing.
doing?
But
even
he's
bringing
still
up all
stealing.
the with all because then again he has no place.
He
in this
has to.
capitalist
Yeah,
society.
no, I
He
know.
has
Okay,
no
that's a good.
place.
That's a good point.
And
But
even then, all like he comes out of jail and they're already like every pickpocket. They kind of have this repeated, like it's even sort of critiquing the prison system. Like you come out, you have no place to go, you kind of get wrapped into what you're doing again.
like I know it's critiqued here, yes, but like isn't that
I
kind of a
don't.
different type of issue?
I know it is. That's why I don't want to bring it too much. I
Okay,
think
okay.
the film has that much to say about it.
Yeah.
If you just look at the end of the film, like we have this end fight sequence between Joey the communist and we have Skip McCoy fighting him. They do it like I think even the film kind of like represents that in the scene itself. Like they're in the subways. They go into this like dark spot on actual train tracks. It's kind of like hidden away from the like all-seeing eye of the government and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when he takes down this capitalist. When he does not like actually function in the capitalist society is when he actually gets that job done.
You mean
And
communist?
Capitalist. I mean, when he's not functioning in the capitalist society.
But he takes down the communist.
Yeah, again, the communist. I don't think this part is that important. Like he's taking down the communists, whatever, but he's doing something by circumventing the U.S. Like he's circumventing the police in this scene, and
He's
that's
like doing. Is it like vigilantism?
Yeah, in a sense. And
Yeah, I mean, I think everything he's doing is vigilantism.
And
he's
importantly,
taking money from them. It's vigilantism, is it not? He's proving them wrong by taking money from them, or trying to take money,
Again,
like even offering.
Okay, but like again,
I missed that. Sorry, Brian. What was it?
If he is doing vigilantism, which throughout most of the movie he's not, he's not doing vigilantism until the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one point where he kind of isn't a capitalist. Like that's the only action in the film. Him fighting Joey, he does that because Candy like kind of proves like how much she loves him. That's the one.
But the thing is, if you're saying that the only time he's the only time that he's anti-capitalist is when he's fighting the communist, that makes no sense to me.
Well, listen, so like throughout the film, he is both. Oh, I can't say that. Sorry. And in multiple moments in the movie, he's demonstrating he demonstrates or exemplifies, same as Mo, the failures of the capitalist system and how he's forced to steal. But he's also at the same time he is trying to be a good capitalist by extorting the communists.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I think his character.
Okay, I hear both of these points actually, and I think that they're both very valid. But honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Bryan on this one because, like, if I return back to my point, because if I return back to the point that I made like earlier about like how this film both has anti-capitalist and anti-communist perspectives. Like, I still agree with that, like, you know, adding some of Justin's opinion to my own opinion on the film. Like, Skip is definitely Joey, who's the pickpocket.
Skip McCoy.
That's right. I was right the first time. Okay, cut that out. Okay, so Skip, he's like, the dude is totally like, just like a little, like, he's just a little anti-capitalist in the sense that he's this pickpocket. And he steals because because that I feel like stealing is like the biggest move of anti-capitalism, because you're not putting any money into an economy that's not going to give back to you. You're taking things from other people, and you're never giving back to the economy in the same way that a person who was playing into capitalism would.
So Dahlia, what about the beer? Like, what about I think beer represents nothing of communism. I think that it is like kind of like the slogan for capitalism, is it not? Like for men, really. Like, you know, maybe it's like beer for men, jewelry for women in a sense. In this time, like, we have to remember that this is the time. You know, I
think that if it was something like tobacco, then I would agree, because I feel like that's something that would be more of a symbol of like that for men.
Aren't cigarettes worldwide?
Yeah, especially they are worldwide, but I'm saying like not like cigarettes.
I guess the Marlboro Man.
Scenes?
Yeah,
like, the scenes where Skip McCoy like gives the police officers and everybody.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
So when
yeah,
Skip
no,
McCloy gives the police officers beer,
yeah, he gives them the beer that he's storing in his, makeshift Hudson River or East River, whichever river that is, fridge, which is disgusting and so unsafe and is essentially poisoning them. But that's another.
I think it's
But
supposed to be like sealed, right? Like the whole box is sealed, the
yeah,
beer is
well, no, the
sealed.
box is not sealed. The box is full of Hudson water,
Oh, you're
and
right.
like the outside of the bottles are still touching the pathogens. But no, the point is like, I think that yes, tobacco is too, but like I think that beer represents something that is not really a part of communist culture, and this is also, you always, when I'm always trying to bear in mind that this movie, in my opinion, is made by capitalists, and so anything that is communist is in a sense what capitalists think of communists, and capitalists and Americans think of beer as like our own, or like imported beer. Like it's still, you don't get like Russian imported beer. You get like European imported beer.
Okay, so
It's
like
not.
to speak to your beer kind of like hypothesis here, like so he has this whole like ice box for his beer.
Mhm.
I think it's important to note that that kind of ice box is like it's a front, really. Like it's a front for like the where he hides his items. And I think that's kind of an important note to land on because like that beer here is like a facade. Like it's not the real purpose of the whole ice box. I don't know. I just think that's important.
Mhm. Well, it is, but I don't think that I think that the beer is separate from the icebox. I think the icebox kind of is this unsuspicious, like, place to hide things that is very noir and kind of not for this discussion so much. But I think that the beer itself is this gesture of well-meaning and like kind of, and again, like humanity, this gesture of like kind of seeing the best in everyone and offering people things, like offering your own things to your guests because it is the right thing to do. And I think that
But I
like,
think if you look at the scene itself, Skip McCoy is only doing that to kind of be more nonchalant because he doesn't like because he knows like he's confident that they're not going to find what he's stealing. But I
I
think
don't
that
know,
scene
are you
itself,
you're
Yeah,
saying
it
they're
makes
trying to
him
rub it in his
look.
face? Is that what you're saying?
No, I
Like
think it
that.
makes him look more like less suspicious because like if you're like offering something to someone, then there's no way that
like oh,
there's
there's
like
nothing to worry
there's an
about. Like
implicit trust there that if they're
you're
drinking it, that
you're
there's
you're
nothing in there.
you're saying, you're kind of taking a cynical, like reading of it, right? Like you guys think that it's kind of, he's trying to manipulate them, right?
well, I think it's pretty
In
obvious
a
he is
sense,
honestly
yeah.
Well,
like he's like
I
because
think,
they're
yeah, there's,
there. He's saying that what they're looking for he doesn't have when he does have it.
but I think he's actually trying, yes, it is an attempt to manipulate, but I think it is also like a legitimate like attempt to kind of befriend. It's like manipulate by befriending. It's not, it's like, yeah, he's in it for his own good, but he also is trying to like make them happy, and that's how he wants to help. But I also like, I do disagree with you on the point that yeah, like it's stored in there. I think that's the secret is stored in the icebox, but I think that's kind of more like little note to the audience where the audience knows what's going on and the unsuspicious characters don't. I don't think that it's like fuck you to these characters. I don't think that's so much of how it is. I think it's kind of like giving the audience an inside joke, like giving putting the audience on the inside and keeping the characters not knowing. And then like compare that to the to to like the actual action, the actual generosity. I think it's this capitalist idea of
But it's
you
deceitful
earn
generosity
things
though.
and then you give them away when you choose. And
Guys,
that's what you do that to the people.
So I think I think honestly I think we've all made a good point. Just nice to see a lot of what you're saying.
yeah,
My perspective, I think I'll lay out our perspectives maybe real quick.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I still feel like the communism present in this film, I don't think it's necessarily endorsing it, but I think that's kind of not the point of the film. The point of the film isn't to lay critique at communism, because I don't think there is that much critique of it besides like their just generic evil entity, where there is so much critique level to the character of Mo and so many and her desperation to survive in this failing capitalist system. And through the character of Skip McCoy and his like kind of again his struggle to both be a capitalist and also exemplifying his failure of the capitalist system. I think all that being there shows this film was far more interested in critiquing capitalism than anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the points that you're making about like with capitalism. I mean, listening to Justin, I did agree that there were some like points of like anti-communism in the film, and like I still agree with you that the overarching theme of the movie is like anti-capitalism, because it's like we can go around in circles and like argue that there's an abundance of anti-communism in the film, but at the end of the day, there wouldn't be a character like Mo in the movie if it was an anti-communist film. There would be someone who was like deathly afraid of like communists, or like in one of the movies that I wrote about, a woman who accidentally married a communist and then like had to like run away from that. Like that's like a character like that would be in the film, as opposed to someone who's like scared of capitalism and has been struggling with capitalism their whole life.
Yeah, I hear you guys. I have like shifted my opinion, but still it will not agree with yours, unfortunately. Which is okay. But I think that the movie, in a sense, like is a political because it takes both sides. I do feel that, but I think that the anti-communist themes in it are much stronger than you two. Not that you're, I like kind of, I want to say like, then you're willing to admit, but it's opinions. So yeah, obviously, you're valid. But I just I guess what I would point out and what stands out to me above everything is who is violent. And I think that is telling of the stance that communism is good in theory, but doesn't work in practice, and kind of results in violence and death and pain in practice. But in theory, it is good. And that's why we have these slight critiques of capitalism, of, kind of these pointing out of the systemic issues in capitalism. But we then see communism come to life in this spiring that uses violence and corruption to get what they want. And that goes against, and that like proves it wrong. And so in conclusion, my stance is communism is good in practice and is not good in application, and that is the message that is being shown here.
All right. We've all said what we want, but end of the day, that's the end right here, folks. But we will see you next week once again. Thank you all for joining us. You're lovely people. I love you all. We all do. But have a good one. See you next time you watch a movie. Are we watching a movie? Sorry.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fetishisms.
Okay, are we good?
Beautiful. All right, go to fetish. What is fetish in this movie?
Who the fuck's got a fetish? I got multiple
fetish.
Wait,
I got
get my
goddamn fetishisms.
My hat.
Hurry up! I got fetishisms at the wazoo, baby.
The wazoo.
You got a fetish. I have like 2 fetishes I thought of. That's like mainly it.
Which ones?
All right. So Joey, I think this is a funny idea.
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, Joey, not again. He's back.
Here, did you miss me?
No.
Did you miss your president?
Well, I have a different Joe to talk. All right, so Joey, our boy, communist boy, I think his fetish is not getting the film or like not getting it delivered, because it just happens so many times. He never gets it. I just found that as a funny idea. Like he never.
He has a failure fetish in a sense.
All right, Justin, you might have to take that mask off because your audio sounds horrendous.
Hold on, let me fix it. Oh shit, I just dropped my AirPod. Does this sound better?
That's nice. No.
Does that sound better?
Oh. different, not better.
Wait, I can't hear you.
But yeah, Joey has
Stop,
a
you're having
fetish. He
stimulating
doesn't.
discussion without me.
Joey's fetish.
Oh, hey, how
Not
does
have.
it work? Oh, is that better? Wait, I still can't hear you.
Hello.
Alright.
I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just saying. So
Update me.
that mask is horrifying. That Joe's fetish, the communist boy, his fetish is not having the film, or like not delivering it, just like always trying to obtain that satisfaction, but never getting it, never fully getting it.
Yeah,
I'm not really
Agree.
it's not his fault, but I like it.
I agree.
I
I agree.
Skip
He
McCoy,
has.
I think
He
Skip-
wants to be edged. He likes to be edged. That's
True,
that's
but-
what it is.
So
But
my
our boy
fetish-
Skip McCoy too. I think he has a fetish.
my
Skip
fetish
McCoy.
is I think that Candy likes men that don't respect her boundaries because Joe does not respect her boundaries at multiple points. And although that was not something that we could talk about in this video because it's not about communism, there's quite a lot of iffy scenes where he's like pinning her against a wall and like forcefully kissing her. And then
Oh,
she
you mean
actually
Skip? You mean
likes him,
Skip?
which was so weird.
Yep.
You mean Skip McCoy doing those kissy scenes?
What?
Skip McCoy's the one doing all those kisses.
Yeah, so but she actually
Horrible
like
kisses.
goes for
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
like actually gets together with him, doesn't
It's
she?
true.
So
I don't
it's
think she
like
should
in a-
have gone for him at all. Like he was a
No, he
terrible.
was fucking
father.
creepy and like not appropriate. He did not behave as a man should behave.
He robbed her and forcefully
He
kissed her.
robbed her. Yeah, he would like manipulate her. He would like kiss her
But even
unconsensually.
before, she was with this dude Joey, who we know is not a good dude. So like, I think she's probably into bad dudes. But also Skip McCoy. I think like Candy she's questions him. She's like, "Why are you a pickpocket?" He doesn't really have an answer. I think it's because that's his little fetish. I think he likes the allure of like not being seen while stealing. I think he's into it. I think he's all about it. Everybody's got a goddamn fetish. Everybody.
Interesting. Yeah,
I
that's
bet Mo has a
interesting.
fetish too. What does Mo have a fetish, guys?
Oh yeah, Dahlia, what was your fetishes that you picked up on?
Yes. Come on, everybody's
Fetish for
got,
losing.
Fetish.
Fetish for dying.
everybody's got a fetish.
I think that her fetish is liking knowing information that other people don't, and then like that sense
Why,
of like
why
No,
does she know all
because-
that?
yeah, because it's like she gets off on keeping it for some reason. It's like she doesn't want to give it away, but then like she's like, hee hee, I have all this information.
Yeah, the price. Everyone has a price.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
All right. Well, anyway, that was a great video. Thank you. Bye, Hugh.
Bye.